Market analysis. What we are analyzing today, and I say today, in this last 30 years. Is that right? Yeah. My family got the internet in rural Alberta in 1994 on a 486. And
That was
since
a
that
big
time,
computer back then.
what's that?
That was a big computer back then.
Oh, I know. It was amazing. And the reason my parents got it for me was because I was showing some interest in computers. I had already built in 1994, I had already built a 286 from scratch. And I was always fascinated by it. And I was never, interested in programming or anything like that. I was gravitating towards graphics. And so the 486 they got, I can't remember what the other letter, because you could get a 486, but then there was like 486 DX or something like that. There was another added thing that you could get that gave you extra boost of power. And I remember there was a whole 4 megabytes of RAM on that sucker. And my parents said, I remember my parents, they unpacked and they put it up and they were just like, 4 megabytes. We're never going to use all that. Watch Tulip Fever, and you'll see just how hilarious the last 30 years have been. Today, it's an announcement. Anthropic, which is the parent company for Claude, the LLM model. Claude is focused. Their LLM was trained more so to help out with writers. Editing is very good. And then, of course, they, for a long time, were leading with code, Claude Code as well. And now Claude Code, and I can't remember what the ChatGPT version or OpenAI version of that is. I can't remember, but they are neck and neck right now when it comes to coding. And so the Anthropic went ahead and made a deal to purchase a gigawatt of basically they're committing to maintaining a gigawatt of power. A gigawatt is about the amount of energy that Red Deer consumes. Anthropic,
is that in a year?
That's a good question. I remember working at ANC, Alberta Newsprint Company, and the majority of paper we did, like our biggest customer was the Chicago Tribune. And the paper, of course, super thin, very easy to print on, cheaply made, came out in rolls that were 40 feet wide to the tune of thousands of miles a day. The electricity requirements for ANC was more than what Red Deer required. And it was so consumptive of power that and this is another thing too. People get their power bills and they're, usually fairly the same, but power prices are not stable. In fact, the fluctuations of power prices are greater than what cryptocurrencies are in the fair market value. And in fact, the fluctuation could occur so drastically that you'd be working away at ANC, minding your own business at your point in the production line, and this horn would go off in ANC. Like, almost like, well, it was as loud as the fire alarm. And that alarm signified to everybody to shut down the whole plant. Why? Because the power prices had fluctuated to the point where ANC's power generator was better used. It was more profitable for them to sell the electricity back to the grid than it was for them to make paper. And sometimes it would only be for 20 minutes and then we'd be back to work again. Another alarm would go off. Okay, everybody, go and flip your keys and push the button, and now we can go back into production again because it's cheaper. The power is cheaper now. That's to print paper. And ANC, that little building out by Whitecourt, Alberta, consumed more electricity than the city of Red Deer. Anthropic is committing to purchasing compute at a rate of a gigawatt. And I would imagine that that would be a gigawatt hour because it's all measured in time. Go watch Tulip Fever today. Instead of watching your next Netflix or the next hour-long YouTube or Tucker Carlson interview.
Or hunting video.
Oh, no, the hunting videos, those are good. But here's an interesting thing about this Anthropic. It's Anthropic willing to pay Azure. Azure is Microsoft's cloud computing. Anthropic, competitor to OpenAI, has committed $9 billion for Azure. Their competitors, OpenAI's lead competitor, OpenAI's lead competitor has committed to pay Microsoft $9 billion, the parent company to OpenAI, for cloud computing. Committed $9 billion. It's just crazy. It's all just one big incestuous pool of revenue being passed around from company to company with, again, nobody able to actually follow through. The amount of required, like for all of the commitments that these companies are making with each other, nobody is capable of actually delivering.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible that this process you're describing is a consolidation? They're making moves on the chess table in a consolidation strategy where they're waiting for something, don't know what. Maybe it's the amount of people in cryptocurrency, maybe it's a particular dollar value. And as soon as it reaches that dollar value, they're all going to push the button at the same time and draw on, I don't know what.
This is why I think there's going to be a crisis that necessitates and easily convinces people to sign up for that next digital ID. Just another one to add to the pile in this grand scheme to finally have us locked in with the government's version. It's all just training. It's all just training. And yeah, they're banking on there being enough people having to sign up in order to pay for all these commitments. OpenAI, year to date, has promised $1 trillion worth of business that they cannot deliver. They do not have the revenue to do it. That's how much they're banking on everybody signing up. And when you watch Tulip Fever, you will see exactly just how valuable all of this compute really is. Because we've been talking about this. We've been talking about how these chips that are application specific inside our devices right here, right now, our devices are running application specific chips. They're not generalists at all. AI, LLMs are generalists. So they are very much they're very much more agile than what our computers here can be. And the next generation of computer chips that we're seeing already coming off the lines are generalist chips. This ties in with that conversation of deterministic computing versus probabilistic computing. Deterministic, that goes into this realm of application-specific computer chips. Probabilistic is saying, hey, if we can have a software that generates output through probabilism, let's make computer chips that support that software in that objective. And I think that we're going to see a huge war, simply because the amount that has been invested into the application-specific processors, the NVIDIA specifically, they're primarily NVIDIA makes these chips for these massive corporations. Their number one customer is OpenAI, and OpenAI only exists because they are the main recipient for Project Stargate, government funded. Palantir, we talked about this yesterday. Palantir has the contract for managing all that data and monitoring it. Did you know that Palantir has a protocol that's built into OpenAI that they just installed about 3-4 months ago? This protocol detects whether or not someone, based on their input, it can detect whether or not someone is experiencing mental health challenges, and it will actually switch models mid-session. Just switch the model over to this one over here so that we can provide some help for this person who has mental issues.
I just wanted to.
What kind of help? Oh, sorry, Corey, go ahead.
Yeah, I heard about this on Mike Adams' podcast yesterday. New Chinese optical quantum chip, allegedly 1,000 times faster than NVIDIA GPUs. So this quantum chip uses light. So this is like completely brand new technology. It's unreal what's starting to come out.
Yep. It's also expected, not only is it faster, but that it also consumes approximately 10,000 times less electricity.
Yeah.
Corey, could you put that link in the chat, please?
Sure. Yeah, you bet. I absolutely will.
Actually, could you put it in the Telegram? Because whenever I'll forget.
That's even better, yep.
I'll go ahead and close this, and then that chat gets cleared out, and then it's a mess and forget things. And Maureen, I see you back there. How are things? Oh, and you're muted.
I definitely want to be part of this, but I'm taking care of business here in the kitchen.
Oh, so that's not a problem.
I'm rolling around. Okay, I'm listening though. Thank you.
All right. And Maureen and Ian, you two could probably commiserate together about how frustrating it was to have to reconnect your night mining. I was having the same thing yesterday. All of my sessions, I don't know exactly what time. It's probably about 4 or 5 hours where I missed challenges because something lapsed and my session got dropped. Today, I've narrowed it down even further. I was at up to 30 instances, and it was bringing down my free the free resources that I had in my computer down to 5%. So then I dropped that down. I wasn't even able to have meetings because my computer was mining so hard. So I scaled that down to 13. And then 2 days ago, I scaled it down again to 9 that were actually performing, because I had so many that were getting 0 solutions. And in fact, while I was having so many, I wasn't even mining anything in the main ones that I started with, where I was getting, 2.3 night per solution. So I've scaled it down now, and I'm only running 4 instances now. And the solutions are coming through a lot cleaner. So there we have it. There's evidence that you can draw your computer down too much and actually limit your capacity to find solutions.
I wonder if you could run it on a Raspberry Pi, Paul.
Yes, you totally can. There's one guy that had a Raspberry Pi, and he had it network. I don't know how he does it. He's a developer, but he had 7 computers connected through that Raspberry Pi, and he had 300 browsers open mining. Yeah. And the couple days ago in Discord, he said that he was up to 10,000 night.
So do either of you guys know how to connect those two, like a Raspberry? That's like a hard drive, right? A Raspberry Pi.
It's a very small device. I don't think I have one kicking around.
I know what it looks like. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen it. Yeah.
it basically runs just like a computer. And I think now they probably have more RAM. I've got one here that has about 4 gigabytes of RAM. And it can run an instance, an operating system, you name it. As Paul's just pulling up there, you can craft one, like build a model however you see fit, and they'll ship it out to you.
Sweet. Okay.
Nice.
And if you want just a basic one, you can order one off of Amazon and it'll be there same day. Like it's depending on what your needs are.
Hey,
Yeah,
Corey.
I don't know how to interface it. That's my biggest thing.
Corey, you know what? This would be perfect opportunity. Maureen, I don't know if you've met Corey yet, have you? Oh, and you're muted again, my dear. I bring it up because you were talking about going to a Linux machine. Well,
Yes.
Corey's your guy. He's going to be the one to help you with that.
Oh,
So you two
fabulous.
should coordinate.
Hey, Corey, I've seen you on film. You're famous in my book.
All right, let's bring up some charts here. Let's talk about what's going on. Ada, bouncing off of that. Look at how I drew this back here. I drew this back here before we were even testing this line, this major support line. I said, if it goes down and it's not able to maintain this level, we'll probably see it hit this pivot point, bounce back up, and retest this line. We're at a very critical point here. This is not a good sign. In a technical analysis, the fact that we went down all the way to this pivot point and we're not just bouncing right back up again tells me that we are going to take some time, retest this line, and continue a downward pattern. However, you'll also remember that I've been talking about Bitcoin dominance and how this is the chart to watch to determine where is the liquidity headed. Is alt season here? As you can see, numbers are green today. Everywhere, numbers are green except for the US 30 and the Nike. Everywhere else is green. Oh, except for Bitcoin dominance. Right, because it's going down because more money is going into altcoins. What does that mean? Like we talked about yesterday, we have this triple top, which is which signifies a reversal, and then the extension. We talked about the Wyckoff strategy on how this is the accumulation phase. While Bitcoin dominance is dropping significantly. In fact, Friday, big drop. Over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and then again Monday, basically stayed at the very same spot all that time. Today, another big drop. We see the green in the altcoins. That tells me that ADA could very well be experiencing the triple bottom. It's just a reversal of the Wyckoff theory, folks. The triple bottom, and now we're going into extension. That extension, given the fact that Bitcoin dominance is dropping, this downward trend signifies, put it all together, to me, this signifies a reversal. Some people are considering, when it comes back up, to retest this. They're considering selling some ADA or other cryptos. We're going to see similar patterns with Ethereum here. Doge. Injective. I like to use ADA because it's a good mid-range altcoin. It's ranked 10 over all cryptocurrencies, which is a good benchmark for us to see what's the temperature, what's the climate like within alt season. So Combining the fact that Bitcoin is still dropping, look, it's even going below this pivot point already today. That means liquidity is going into altcoins, which could very well signify the reversal here. We will know when the price line, when the price action of ADA comes back up to test this line at the 51-cent US line. Notice how that also conjoins with this old trend line. All the way from December, that trend line is signifying a point. That point, when we come back up to that, if the Bitcoin dominance still has not risen, I would not recommend a sale. However, if the prices go up, if that altcoins show strength, bringing us back up to the next pivot point, and Bitcoin dominance rises, that will signify to me that yes, it would be good to sell. Because if Bitcoin dominance is rising, it means that there's money leaving altcoins, and we'll see another pullback. Which one is it? Don't really know. Right now, my tendency, my bias is bullish from a technical analysis perspective.
Question.
We have to take into consideration this, which is it's deviating a little bit, deviating away from a technical analysis of the chart, because that triple bottom, this accumulation is very likely, but we need that confirmation. When we retest this line, this is a major line, folks. When we retest this line, we'll look at where the money flow is headed. Any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go back to the Bitcoin dominance, so you see that drop from the high back in July.
Yep.
So you would think from there down to its low, that's quite a drop in Bitcoin dominance. So you would have thought that there would have been quite a move then on the altcoins, but there isn't. You look at ADA in the same time frame, and it's pretty much just consolidation.
Right.
So how does that compute with the up and down that you're talking about with Bitcoin dominance compared to altcoins? Like you would have thought that the altcoins would have been rising quite sharply in that
rising during this time. Yep. We did see it occur here where the Bitcoin drop coincided with a mini altcoin season. And you're right, this drop here was significant enough that we should have saw some growth. Well, that's June to July. Let's go ahead and look at Ethereum during that time. There's June into July. So while it wasn't an altcoin season, dominance simply was, I believe that loss of dominance was more dispersed across altcoins instead of focusing in on those top 10s. Because Ethereum did rise during that time, but it wasn't anywhere close to the acceleration that it saw after the election. This acceleration here was a lot more significant in focusing in on the top 10s. This last bit here from this is April low going up, when June actually hit and that Bitcoin dominance dropped, we did see a lot of liquidity come into altcoins. But I believe it was just more spread out, so it wasn't technically an altcoin season. Does that help? Yep. Good point, though. Very good point. Because this is a good drop. This goes down. Just that is 8% loss. Going down to the low, that's 13%. This drop here is a little bit lower, but it's a smaller movement, 11%. That's right after the election. Yeah, it's a fascinating chart to study, and we're still dropping. You can see we're pushing right up against that. I'm going to go to the 4-hour chart so we can see that.
Paul, this may be a fundamental question, but when Ethereum has that rise, a lot of, in my understanding, you have to buy Ethereum in order to buy the altcoin, right?
Many of the altcoins require you to have Ethereum first. Yes.
Yeah. So would that be part of it there? That just that rise in Ethereum is people are buying Ethereum in order to get poise themselves to buy altcoins? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's go ahead. Let's look at, you know what? Let's look at Tau during that time. This is BitTensor. Here's the low in April, going into May, June. Here's the mid to late June. This one stayed pretty steady throughout that time. It didn't experience the same jolt. However, this one here, the majority of investors in this asset are not retail. I mean, there's a retail market for sure. Retail traders are trading this, but the vast majority of the money coming into this was institutional money. So this wouldn't have come through Ethereum like, say, for instance, Injective. And we can see through Injective, here's June, going into July, it did experience that rise. And it's not that much. Again, though, like look at Doge during that time. Here's June, going into July. It's because you need Ethereum to get some of these other coins. Not so much Doge, but Ethereum was definitely necessary for Injective, Tau, Fetch is another one. There's April, May, June. Oh, this one actually stayed fair. Oh yeah, this one here is that decentralized AI. So a little bit outside of the scope of the mainstream. Polygon, there's June going into July. You have to get Ethereum to get Polygon. Desync, there's June going into July. Nice big rise on that one. During that time, it was 111% rise. Doesn't look like much on the chart when you got so much movement, but that's volatility right there. PAL, there's June going into July, 81%. So yes, Maureen, you are absolutely dead on. That rise in Ethereum would have translated simply into lots of transactions, but facilitating getting altcoins. So that's why it got spread out while Bitcoin dominance dropped. For those who are looking at buying, you are at a really good dollar cost average opportunity. This is a major point of support right now. When we take a look at historic price action, there is another level, one more pivot point down right here. That would be even more significant, but this one here is pretty good. You might go ahead and get this three, we mark these out as an example. You'd probably want to get this sooner than later if you were looking at getting another installment. Another dollar cost average opportunity is present.
Paul, would the say people that are following, like we are, that say the founder of Cardano now is moving to midnight, and seeing that kind of action going on now, would that take away from ADA? Would that take interest away from ADA? Because this is kind of like the kind of an evolutionary move to midnight. What are your thoughts on that?
Great, thank you. That's really good. I'm going to go ahead and bring out the chalkboard for this one. Oh, of course, I got to find my chalkboard. Sometimes I got to reset the chalkboard to be able to make that visible. All right. We've chatted about this a little bit, and I'm going to go into greater detail here today. First generation blockchain, This was that proof of work consensus. So yes, we can agree the work got done. You can go to your computer, your mining machine, and you can verify on chain that you completed the computation to mine that algorithm for another Bitcoin. That was that first principle of proof of work. Second generation was proof of stake. With proof of stake protocol, now it's a different situation because we've got lots of different parameters. Parameters for smart contracts. Because sometimes it's not about whether or not the work got done. Like the work got done, you know, that proof of work is important. It's powerful. And there are other parameters to contracts than just whether or not the work got done. So proof of stake allows for more parameters for smart contracts to be implemented so that you can customize your deals a lot more. Out of this came Ethereum. That was the main pioneer in this proof of stake realm. But that produced Polygon, which focuses on smaller transactions for gaming. Solana, which ended up again being a cheap version of Ethereum, because Ethereum transaction fees are like $5 minimum. Yeah, when we were in busy season, when we had the last little mini alt season, there were some transactions that were $90. Well, you can't use Ethereum if you're getting a $5 coffee, if you're paying $5 in transaction fees on a slow day. So Solana came forward and they came out with just a few cents. Like it was like 6 cents or something like that for a transaction. Same protocol, just a different chain, different purpose, different use case. And of course, it was evolved. It evolved from Ethereum. So that second generation created a proof of stake consensus. Now, what happened was that during all of this, while this was all developing, Polygon, Solana, Ethereum, as they were developing, there was a team of people who were recognizing that JavaScript, that's what the name of the programming language they were using, this is the programming language that's used for Web 2.0. We talked about that yesterday. That Maureen, did you get a chance to watch that yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good. So JavaScript is a Web 2.0 protocol to authorize and to help authenticate users to see dynamic content on a website. You got two options. You got A or B. You want to see A, or you can see A if you're not signed in, and you can see B if you're signed in. So JavaScript handles that. And the people who were working and building within Ethereum, and Charles Hoskinson being one of them, said, hey, guys, we need to use a different programming language to do this. Otherwise, we're not really accomplishing our mission here. And so that's what gave birth to the token ADA and the DAO named Cardano. This ecosystem started something different. Instead, they were like, great, we got this proof of work thing, but we have to do this rationally. We have to use arithmetic for us to be able to create what we envision here, an internet where we're not using centralized services, because that's what JavaScript relies on. JavaScript needs centralized service, a host, and then that host can store the multiple versions of the website. JavaScript then shuffles between this dynamic content in order to display it, but that requires a centralized location. Ada gave birth to this idea that, hey, if we're going to be going towards Web 3, let's not make it Web 2.5. Let's just go all in and make it where people are self-identified. And what this allows us to do is if they are able to self-identify themselves with these wallets, with this other language, we can create an operating system, not just not just a wallet. You know, we're not just creating a coin here. Operating system. This
You said-
operating system, yeah.
So you said that the difference between ADA and ETH was the mathematical use of mathematical procedures. Does
Yes.
not, is that in the script? The script is mathematical as compared
Yep.
in contrast
It's
to
programming
JavaScript.
language. It's the programming like JavaScript is that HTML based language.
Yeah, I don't know
Pascal is
what
that-
I don't know what that means.
Okay. It's just the manner in which it's actually a very plain language programming language.
Well,
It's,
to me, words are one thing, but math is a totally different world.
yep.
And if that's what you mean by the difference, then I get the picture. Because math 1 + 1 will always equal 2, always.
Yes.
You know, whereas
JavaScript is always evolving because we're creating new protocols in order for the transference of data to go back and forth. So JavaScript is an adaptable, you can move it around, you can do with Haskell, it's a pretty static language. There's not really updates that happen to this because yeah, you're right. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2.
you can change the definition of words. Like you think
Yep.
of the word gay, for instance. When I was a kid and the Flintstones came out, "We're having a gay old time" was the song.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, we used the word a lot.
Mhm.
Talking about having a great time, you know?
Yes.
And nothing to do with the way the words used today at all.
That's right.
So
That's
if
right.
that's what you mean by changing protocols in JavaScript, then I can absolutely see the necessity of a mathematical language.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Indeed. Most welcome. They call this
Bring
was
that up, too. That's a really good point. That's a big difference. I thank you for mentioning that.
so here's what it actually accomplished. This is what the result was. We don't want to have a subjective computing language. We need to have a rational compute layer over top of these transactions. Because if it's rational, you can create what's called conditional logic. Conditional logic is the idea that if this, then accomplish this, do this, give it a command. If this parameter is present, then this is your order. Having this as a foundation for ledger management. What is ledger management? Pushing buttons, folks. It's just pushing buttons. We're trying to get the machines to push the buttons for us. That's the whole idea. Remember the miner's friend? I really need to write a book. The miner's friend for late 1300s. Peasants were risking their lives and limbs going down into mine shafts filled with water to pull the minerals out and even to pull the water out so they could eventually get to the minerals. The miner's friend was the first steam engine. It was made out of wood. And what it was it was a small pump run with a little steam. You could run this pump to draw the water out of those mine shafts. Now the peasants didn't have to risk life and limb anymore for their lords. The same thing is going on. We've got these computers here and the labor is different. It's not as life risking. However, it's energy draining. We're sitting in front of a computer screen pushing buttons.
Not just
Reason why
we won't even go to the EMFs and the brain kind of thing with staring at the focal point. But I want to say, Paul, if you write your book, you have to include the drawings here.
I agree. I got to get lots of
And
drawings.
cartoons.
Ian and I have chatted about that many times. I need to get good at illustrating.
Fabulous. Cartoons and cartoons.
Yeah.
Colored.
Yeah.
Make sure they're colored. Okay. All right. Bye.
Great. Yes. So ledger management is just button pushing. So if it's button pushing, it's no different than if I'm editing a video with a piece of software. I just got to push buttons in the right patterns and on the right locations. And I got to move this thing around so that my cursor can be on the right place on the screen so that when I push the button, the right activity happens. Well, all of these buttons can be done, all they can be pushed rationally. So now, instead of just having a nice system for wallets and exchanges and swapping and moving money around and basically just behaving like you're an amateur stock market portfolio manager, that's basically what that accomplished. Ada said, no. We got to take this a step further and get the computers to do the rational computing to manage our finances and do the ledger management because it's just button pushing. So that's what they've done. They've created a financial operating system. Now, right now, to operate this operating system, you got to be a programmer. But that bar is lowering significantly from a user interface perspective. And so over the next year or two, we're going to see this financial operating system really start to flourish and blossom. Why? Because after putting on a layer of value, we call this here the first gen blockchain. Call this sorry. You know what? Actually, you brought up a really good point, Maureen, and this is the perfect instance for me to do this. Different colors. Value layer. So this is a layer of code that helps secure the value of something because it's determined through the consensus of the proof of work. This here proof of stake, this gave birth to that ability to trade those values across other coins and other languages. That was nice. Ada came along and said we need to finish our job and actually create a compute layer. And what Midnight does, what Midnight is doing is that it's creating a privacy layer over the whole shebang. So that's the long answer, Maureen. The short answer is no, Ada's not going anywhere because it's going to be the operating system that's secured through the privacy of Midnight. Similar to how, Corey, you can speak to this, similar to how you set up a firewall in your house to protect all of the media that goes in and out of your home. Midnight is that security layer for the financial operating system that conducts rational compute over your finances, making all of the conditional logic of your smart contracts work like a charm privately. Such a good, Maureen, such a good question. What was that, Corey?
I was going to say it's like doing a backroom deal without the government knowing. You're doing that handshake, right?
Yep.
That's the way it all works.
That would be a good cover for your book.
Yeah.
The backroom handshake. I love it.
I've actually played around with a little bit of language on my next article that I'm writing, where I'm saying these are asset management strategies that will piss off the globalists. All right. Any questions, comments, queries, other charts you want me to analyze? You know what? We didn't even look at gold and silver. Let me pull that up while we're here. Oop. And again, folks, just because I'm going off onto another tangent, another rabbit hole, does not mean that you need to be quiet. If you've got questions, interrupt. I'm just filling time here when this happens. Silver. Notice how we went into that short, little, tiny consolidation. And I drew it out for a long time. I was like, we could be here a while. Nah, we blew out of that back on November 10th. and went and challenged that all-time high. And we've just now today bounced off the top end of that consolidation range already. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to bounce off and we're going to continue making new highs, but it's fascinating to see just how little silver consolidated. Watch out, because what happens sometimes is that we start forming the pattern of reversal. Now, it's again, we're not there yet. This double top is not a reversal signal. However, we have to be ready for it. My thing is right now, dollar cost average. If you don't have any silver now, definitely get some. And if you have a large amount of money, say more than $1,000, what I would do is that I would position that similarly to how we marked the Ethereum chart. Put it in 250 now. Wait for it to come back down into this consolidation range. Get another 350. Wait again until the price maybe even comes back to test. Yeah, see, we've got this here. This is a pivot point, $42. You might even wait till here. The other one that you may wait for is $39, because that was the extension that we had out of this. Nah, you know what? I'm looking at this trend line and I'm like, yeah, this one right here. That's the point to watch for. That's where I would stop buying, stop dollar cost averaging. Gold. Just like we talked about yesterday, it did not challenge that all-time high again. Doesn't really mean much. Technically, it's still consolidating. If we create a low lower than this low here, I would expect us to come and re-challenge, test out this long-term trend line here. And I say long-term, there's even a longer-term trend line here from 2015. This one here is just the trend line that we see forming since January of this year. US markets actually experiencing quite a drop from that all-time high just a few days ago. Just a few days ago, folks. Oh, where's my ruler at? There we go. So we've dropped as low as 5% in the last 6 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 days. 6 trading days, or 4 trading days rather. And yeah, look at that. Coming back to find, looks like we're finding some support at this level here, 46,000 or so. But this is just dangerous. This is just dangerous. The was it Ian? You were telling me about The Big Short, how he's doing another one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another good movie. If you haven't seen The Big Short,
Yeah.
get that one. Maureen, you missed it when you first came in.
Oh, what was
You
that?
want to watch Tulip
Okay.
Fever.
Tulip Fever. Okay.
Tulip Fever.
Oh, yes, in Holland during the war.
Yeah, huh?
Pre-war. Tulip Fever. You know what? We just watched The Green Mile again last night.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say what an excellent movie that is. I could say, I think it's the third time I've seen it in maybe 10 years. But it's just such a good movie. And it doesn't have anything to do with finances, but it expresses, it has so many good, bad, compassion, just miracles, just, it's just a good movie. Anyway, I just want to say that. And I would like to ask if we could look at Quartal, just bring up the screen. And if you could review Bitcoin again, I would like to just, I can't consolidate it in my own brain what happened with Bitcoin. And I guess we're down. What is the price now at Bitcoin, like 90 or 87? What are we doing there? I missed
90,000 right now. Yeah.
90. Okay.
Quartal isn't available on TradingView, so we're gonna have to look at it through CoinMarketCap today. Total supply. Yeah. See, they don't even have a profile on here.
Okay.
I'm gonna look up another one here.
While you're doing that, just FYI, I reinserted that link for Michael Burry's short
Oh yeah,
in the chat.
What
awesome.
was that about? I didn't get that, Ian. What was
It's on the Next Merchants chat. Next Gen
Oh.
Merchants chat.
In the Telegram.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Maureen, you're not on Telegram, but he's referencing another good movie to watch to see. It's
No,
basically a preview of what's going through.
I'm actually talking about Michael Burry's actual short of the of AI.
Yep.
That article, not the actual movie.
Oh, okay, got it. I'll grab that, Maureen, and I'll throw it up in here because you don't have that. So copy. Here we
Thank
go.
you.
Most welcome. Oh, that's a big long link. I should have cleaned that one up. Okay, so Corey, do you have a chart for Cordal?
I don't. I was just looking. I'm actually on the computer that I do minting on, so I can try and see if I can see what the costs are to buy some of the
Like,
coins.
I'm not getting any data on them right now.
Which doesn't surprise me because it truly is like a private network until you join and start taking part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, soon enough, I'll be able to actually sponsor people, which will be interesting.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how this. Okay, here we go. Oh, well, Cordal has flatlined since August. So the price has basically become stable. It's a stable coin now. Look, it's a stable coin. Woo!
Yeah, in the medical world, that's not a good sign.
Luckily, we don't take much heed to the medical world as it exists today.
Oh, yeah. That's the 6-month chart. Let's go to a year chart here. It's happened before. It's happened before where it just stops doing it. You know, this is the kind of chart that I like to see in cryptos.
Are you going to explain that?
Yeah. Like this looks like chop, right? Doesn't it? It's just like, oh, it's all over the place. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, check this one out. Let's go to I'm gonna go back to where is my coin market cap. I'm gonna go down here to let's just hit up something like page 6. Yeah, here's a good example. Aegon. Gonna go, oh, that's all. Oh, that's actually not that bad. I would have expected that one to be a classic example. Goatsius Maximus. Yeah, let's do this meme coin. This is what most cryptocurrency charts look like. Does anybody know the story of Goatsius Maximus? I think I've talked about it before. This is a meme coin. I have?
Yep.
Yeah. This is a meme coin that was actually completely generated and put on the market by LLM, by a learning language model. And it named itself Goatsius Maximus, made a meme coin out of it, and took off. But it just went up, and then it went down, and then it never moved again. Basically flatlined the rest of the time. This is very indicative of what we call a rug pull. So yeah, sure, AI made the coin and put it on the market and everything else, but you can bet your boots the guy that made it, he was the first one to buy the coins because he knew about it. And then social media took over and the coin went off. And then he sold along with all the buddies. And then all of a sudden it goes to nothing again. Well, over time, it does go back to nothing again. Or just even bring it up in here. Goatsius Maximus. Look at that. All right. So right out of the gate, it launches in October of 2024. In a matter of 34 days, it goes up 23 times. 2,300% growth in a matter of a month. And then, of course, it went down, and it went down 96%. And still today, 96% from where it was. Does that mean it's gone forever, that it's not going to do anything anymore? No, it could very well be brought back to life. Who knows? But I doubt it, because this is what most coins do. There's somebody who has a whole bunch of these things, and they release it, take advantage of that awesome hype, and then sell, leaving everybody who bought up here left hanging on to all of that liquidity that just drops in value. So this is what charts normally look like. Let's go back to Quirtle. Clicking on all time, going back, it says here, this takes us back to August of 2023. Now, it's been around longer than that. That's just when the data starts. But you can see that while there's volatility, it doesn't just go up and then die right away. That's key. That tells you that there isn't an insider group just waiting to pull the rug. The primary holders of Quirtle are users of Quirtle. They are involved in that community. They work together. Corey, you know more about this than I do. I simply didn't go down this path. I didn't focus on this. And the reason why was because I wanted to gather infrastructure and a stack of software that would allow the next generation of merchant that doesn't know how to use computers to start utilizing consensus protocols that allow for self-governance. Quirtle does this. I just wasn't happy with how far along their user interface was. I couldn't even get it to work properly on my computer, and I'm not that bad with computers. So Quirtle is setting up very nicely, and I got a nice update from Kim about Quirtle and what's going. No, I got it from you, I think, Maureen, or maybe it was Denise. I can't remember. Someone sent
Kim has done a deep dive.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I don't understand what she says. I don't have a context to put it in, but she was happy. So she was happy with the progress of it being more, user friendly.
more
And
accessible,
you have the same experience, Corey, or I would love to hear your thoughts on Quirtle.
Yeah, it's certainly been far more modernized over the last couple of years. They even hold regular meetings at like every Tuesday, I think around 10 or 11. I haven't been a part of them for a little while, but they always talk about new features, things they're working on, and it literally is a neighborhood of online people working on all their systems. So it's all open source, a bunch of really good guys working on it, and they basically want other people to join their network that are, going to be reliable in keeping their machines running and updated to host the data on their network. So they're doing a lot of really good creative stuff. Like they've got QTube, which is their own video platform, all built right within the app. So it's very, very, very cool stuff. I'll share my screen here and I can give a little bit of a tour as to what it looks like.
What is the significance of Quirtle? I was on a call over 2 years ago with the founder of Quirtle, and at the time didn't see much value in it.
There's the one thing I really like is you can actually buy things off of people. Like I do minting already, so I can. There is like trading areas where you can find other people that you might want to buy things from, and you can just send them some Quirtle, and then you can buy whatever you want. There's some people that have what is it? Goldbacks. I don't know
Yep.
if anybody knows what those are. So
I
you
have
can buy
seen.
goldbacks from people on here with the Chordal
Sweet.
that you have. So yeah, there is a lot of really cool stuff. This is the minter board, so this is strictly for the minters. You will publish a card here, and basically most of the guys that are doing the work on maintaining it will vote on whether they want you to become a minter here.
So what are they
So
minting?
they're minting the Chordal coin, so the Q
So they're
coin.
mining. Is that what you would call it, mining? Or
Yeah, that's right. So as you see here, as I put my mouse over top of this,
yeah.
it shows that I'm minting. So,
Okay, gotcha.
and then in the app here, there's a node.
Are you using a Raspberry to do that?
No, I'm running this on a desktop machine too. I've
Yeah.
got a household full of old computers, so I'm running it on the machine that I'm doing this meeting from. So this thing stays on all the time.
Corey, I wanted to ask you, is it still true what as a group, one of the things we really liked, other than having a whole alternate, web search, I don't know
Yeah.
all the word search engine, and that for when you had to join and you only got one membership, your membership was one vote, no matter how much money you had put into it. Is that still the case? It's like you can have $1 million in Chordal, but still just have one vote. And we really like that. I don't know if it's still the truth.
And the community, all the communities are run very much the same way. They don't believe one person is over anybody else. So when they are making decisions, they want everybody to have a say. So yeah, that's exactly it. They do of course, when it comes to when they vote for the minters, they do want the developers to have most of the say, because the developers are the ones that are going to say yes or no to who supports their platforms.
Is that a DAO?
Pardon?
Are they a DAO?
A DAO. I don't know what you mean by that.
A DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization.
Yeah. I think so. As
Like
far as I
Cardano.
know. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty
They do.
sure.
Yeah, you're right, Ian. They are. Corey, what he's referencing is how is governance brought forward within that community, and it's brought forward by the users.
I thought that's what he was talking about when he said they depend on everybody for their decisions. And so it sounded like a DAO to me. So I just, yep. Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, they're just like a perfect DAO, because it's not how much money you have bought, which really just eliminates that whole thing of somebody buying a bunch of coins and dropping them all. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
in there for money. They're more in there for the living of it. It's a living thing rather than something to, crash, bang, thank you, ma'am, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
And that's what And
Yeah.
and that's what makes the minting of it so powerful, is because you're actually hosting information on their platform. So in a way to thank you, that's how they allow you to mint their Q coin and stuff. So it's, yeah, I don't know. And for me, it's been very consistent and reliable for running it. I can reboot my computer if I've installed updates, and once I boot up, it's up and running within 2 minutes, and fully synced and what have you. So and the support is very good for the community. I've met some really good friends here.
We were wondering, because as a group, this was the first thing as a group we wanted to do, we researched and we thought Chordal was, and us knowing nothing, really being really novices. This is long before we met Paul.
Yeah.
And we became very involved in gaining information and listening to long YouTubes that we didn't really know what they were talking about, hours, and we're all going like, oh God, but
Yeah.
we thought, well, when they get better, then we want to join, because we wanted to be a node. That just felt like so real, and just, that's the way we want the world to be. Everybody have their own sovereignty, that you're a node, you have a vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
and
the
it's
alternative thing too.
exactly because it's more than just a place to mint coins. You can message each other, send emails. But yeah, like the whole platform is set up to operate as basically a new internet platform, right? So that's 100% what their goal was to do, and I think they're nailing it very, very well. There's another one called Bastion that I'm a part of. I haven't figured out how to mint with it yet. But one thing I have to say about Bastion is they've made their user interface a lot more modern, and and it's a lot more snappy. It doesn't take as long to load. Let me see here. I'll share that with you here real quick, just so you can get a bit of an idea. No,
Can
it's not.
one question I have, because I haven't played around with Bastion for a while. Can you create community groups, like your own private groups in it?
Yes, you can.
Ah, okay. That is been something I've been waiting for in the social media space.
Isn't Cordal like that as well? I just want to say it's 11:11 and just mark that. For
Ding,
any-
ding, ding.
Yeah, in Cordal you can create chat groups. The one thing that Bastion is a little bit ahead on is the fact that you can also do video calling, which is very, very cool.
An international group, so I mean we're not that big, but we're international. We have people all over, so we would definitely want video. So
Yeah. So
however,
this,
no, that's really great to know that you've already done some. Oh, and news kind of thing. I'm going to share this. Could you share
Sure.
the link on chat? Let me open that up. You know who I'd like to share this with is Kim.
yeah,
Mm.
100%. I'll send you a link to the website, and from there you can find downloads and how to get things going. I want to get this minting as well. I of course have bought some P-Coin just to keep me up and running, but yeah, I think this is a great platform to support as well, and that's the next thing I want to get up and running. And here are all my chats, and the chat platforms here are the user interface I find is still a little bit nicer, but it's still a great, yeah. I mean, Cordal is a great platform too. So
Corey, have you heard of R-Link?
no,
Um, what about Connect? What's
that
that?
I haven't either. No.
Connect United.
Connect United. No.
They've got multiple. What would I say? They got multiple areas in which they are looking at. They've got R-Link, which is their video platform. They've got Grow, which is their agricultural and food platform. They got one that's for basically a ride sharing platform. I mean, they multiple platforms, but they're set up as a DAO.
Yeah.
And anyhow, just wondered if you'd heard about them.
Yeah, I was just looking at that now. I mean, the greatest thing would be to see all these platforms kind of integrate together. We can only hope that starts to happen.
Mhm.
That's my biggest concern is that you got all these people running all over the map and trying to do their own thing, and there's got to be sort of like what Knight you're talking about, Knight Paul, with Knight being able to facilitate interoperability.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like I don't even have to have a Polygon wallet, and I can contract with someone who does.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
And
a lot probably too. What's going to happen, and I mean, Paul has alluded to this as well. I think a lot of things will be decided in like the local community level, right? About how people are going to make decisions and have that commerce happen. So
Yeah.
I know I've been talking to the Goldbacks community, because there are a lot of business leaders here in Alberta that want to have this as a tangible trade for commodity in the Edmonton area. So
Well,
this is
and this is where I really want to interject because I don't believe them.
You, you don't believe the leaders, or you don't believe Goldback?
I don't believe that they want that for the communities.
Yeah. Well, it
Here's
depends on
why
who the leaders are. If they're
here's
local
why I
leaders,
say that. Here's why I say that. This is this is passionate. I'm very passionate about this. Right now, there's a market in Edmonton that does this with the Goldbacks. The Goldbacks are right now, at least I should say, last year, they were worth $10. You had to pay $10 to get a Goldback, and that $10 had at the time about $5 worth of gold in it. Now, that's normal. I don't mind paying a premium for small denominations. It's gold. However, what occurred was that people were being told, hey, buy this for $10, taking it to a vendor, and the vendor is like, oh, that's worth $10? Okay. And then when they go to exchange it, they're only getting $5. This is called usury. In every other nation where this ever occurs, that's called usury. So and the way that this would be done, if a corporation aggregate were to be formed, and now you have a lawful, non-statutory private members association that creates their own treasury, you don't need Goldbacks. Your community gets ounces of silver and gold. Those ounces are now in the community treasury. You can mint them on chain, so they each have their own digital identifier as well. So now you have digital identifiers for every ounce that is put into that treasury. What do you do with that? Oh, you do the same thing that the central banks are supposed to do when they serve the people, and that is create tokens. You know, this can also take the form of notes. What is a note? An IOU. What's a token? It's a means of exchange, no different than the notes that we have. You know, no different than the notes we have here. It's just another token. It's just another token. That's all it is.
is this a good place to interject Mark Anielski's approach?
I love it. We don't have time, but
No,
let's do
I'm
that
just
for Thursday.
just a notation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're taking back the whole trust, the whole trust infrastructure.
Yeah,
Taking
the value is not in the silver and gold; it's in that body that's speaking.
Yes.
You know what? I'm so interested in this conversation. I just want you to know, and I know I'm not the only one. Doesn't this though, Paul? I of course that's the best way, and it's proven. You know, we have experience with this way. At least I do. Yeah. I'm old enough that I have experience with this. But
my frustration is that I hear about how there are people that want there to be silver and gold tokenomics within our local communities, but nobody has shown anything that is related other than Mark, which is it's a branch off of this idea.
Yeah.
But if you want a community token, go ahead, form a community, start a treasury that's backed by silver and gold, and issue your tokens. Now what happens? Now people come, and this is what we now have at our market. It's very primitive, folks, very humble. We meet in a freaking barn. All the vendors are here. Right now, as it is, people can come in and they can just talk to the vendors and do business privately. But our PMA now has provision for this. What is this? There's
What is
Canada
Uh,
over here. This is where all the Canadians are bitching and complaining about how bad things are, not realizing it is by the self-evident truth that it is only by the consent of the governed that this exists. And so they come to the market, but the market is not in Canada. The market is what I call a bridge between the realms. Or another way to look at it this way, it would be a border where now you're leaving Canada. And so then the dollars get put on the table. What happens? You issue them a token. And our market is calling it, and it's even this. Our market is calling it the Flurbo because it doesn't matter what it's called. And we're just making a joke out of it. And that Flurbo gets given to the one who just seconds before identified themselves as a Canadian. That being now not a Canadian, that being is now crossing the threshold and can go and do business with any one of the vendors. And then at the end of the market, the vendors are like, look at all these freaking Flurbos we made. Where do they go? The bridge. And everybody here so far has brought forward 100% consensus, by the way. What is consensus? The law. And this 100% consensus is that they are willing to pay a 5% transaction fee on the exchange of their Flurbos. Where does that go? Oh, yeah. Into the same treasury as the gold and silver, but now it's in the form of a token. But nobody else wants to do this. Why? Why do you suppose that is? Because no one individual or corporation has governance. That's why they don't want to do this. And it's funny. Last market, I'm going to start to get a little emotional here. Last market we were at, there was one of the vendors who doesn't know what's going on yet. He doesn't realize what's happening. He identified the market as mine, like Paul's. And I looked at him and I was like, my market? What are you talking about? And he goes, well, I go to the meetings and you're the one who's hosting them. And then when he saw the silver prices on the table, or Audrey, you were there for that. He saw the silver prices on the table and he's like, oh, you're way overcharging. You're never going to make any, I'm not going to buy from you. And I was just shrugging my shoulders. Okay, what does that have anything to do with anything? The premium is right there on the chart. I literally have spot price and the market price. The spread is right there, 7%. That's normal. If you go to, Silver Gold Bull or Kitco, you're paying 10, 12%. Our market's only going to do it for 7%. And we're not even making much money off of that. Probably only 2%, because I still got to go get the gold and silver. So market bridge is getting, maybe out of this 5% spread off the exchange, the market's probably only going to be able to keep about 2%. But that goes into the treasury. And of course, the reason why the guy called it mine was because he saw me take a whiteboard marker, a dry erase marker on the whiteboard to write the prices. So he thought it was me selling the gold and silver. And I'm like, no, don't you want this market? He talks about how he wants the market to be more profitable for himself. Well, don't you want the market to have a treasury so that they can help provide you with some more advertising and signage and stuff like that? Don't you want the treasury to be making money? Wouldn't you want your market treasury where you can exchange your dollars back and forth for currency that's outside of Canada? Wouldn't you want that market to have a treasury for you? What are you doing complaining about me selling a premium on gold and silver when you just brought consensus that you agreed to 5% on the exchange? Like, the cognitive dissonance is wild, folks, but there's that mentality. There's the mind virus, as it were. That
It is a mind virus.
there must be somebody in charge of this.
Paul,
There must
part
be
of
somebody
it
in
is
charge.
the whole thing of us. I mean, look at the metaphor of us always looking at screens, this very narrow view, and not having the bigger. He just didn't see the bigger picture. That's all.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I want to just direct and just have a question about the bridge being a different thing than the thing that you walk over, but on a ship. What is the bridge?
You know, I've always wondered, and it's funny that this language should be a part of it. We have to close things off in 5 minutes, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it. We're going to have to pick this back up on Thursday. I'm going to save this, and we're going to pick up from here on Thursday with that very question. Can you word it again for me, Maureen?
That normally when we think of a bridge, it's something you walk over across a creek or across a crevice or whatever. But what about the bridge on the ship? What is the metaphor of that bridge? What is the meaning of that? The ship's bridge, because we use maritime law. We look at that. So here's another thing where we have a docking or a berthing or, all of that kind of thing, that language that we're using. So and also to have, there's a sense of compassion for people that are always looking at screens and always looking at this very narrow vision because they aren't trained to look at the bigger. And it's so important to look away and look at nature and look at the fractals and be nurtured by that instead of always doing this left brain focusing on, what little food I need to eat right now. We need to look at, what the bigger picture of it. And the second thing that I want to say before we close, and maybe other people have things to say, but Corey and Ian, I don't know, especially you, Corey, just because I hear this. What a great, Paul, you do those little offshoots of things. What a great offshoot for you to be a teacher if you're interested in that, or an organizer around gathering people to learn from you. Like I'm interested in Linux and Paul refers me to you, but it's more than Linux. It's this whole thing of privacy. It's this whole thing of alternate programming to have some kind of a guide or an interpreter. And that Paul has enough. I mean, I know Paul can't do this all. You can't do everything. So it's this whole thing of somebody else in the community. I don't know if you're interested in this, Corey, but I'm just going to throw it out there as like, could you be the bridge in both ways? Could you be the one that navigates, that gives direction? That kind of thing, or the one that walks us over from one piece of land to the other. It's just interesting, to look at this. And then also I ask myself that question, how can I do that as well? How can I be that? Because we are individual nodes and we have, what is the gift that we have to give the whole? So anyway, and somebody else may have something to share with us. And I know other things.
I want to do that. Like, here now is the time. Corey, I gave you a little spot here. Can you talk about Cordal on Thursday? Bring forward where you're at. I know one of the big questions that I have is, can I host my website there yet? Because if we can host websites here, now I can teach Brianna how to start up to get her Sinfully Sweet cookies on a website that's not going to be cut at the knees by Bill, whatever the heck it is now, that's taking away our ability to have the internet.
And is in alignment with the values that we hold.
And of course, within the alignment with the values we hold. And the other thing is can it be Web3? And I know it would be within the portal system, but here's where I'm going to need probably a developer's kit of some sort that allows me to access this protocol with S3. And I'll let you sort that out. If that's something possible, then I can get started developing my next. What I'm working on right now is that I have a folder. This is for you, Corey. I have a folder now assigned to Claude Code. So Claude Code is literally, whenever I've got the context window friggin' available. Claude is great LLM for code. Terrible context windows. But in those windows, I've actually developed already a functional DApp, decentralized app, where now authentication, Maureen, this is related to you. When you go to sign into my website, you're not going to sign in with a username and a password. You're going to be signing in with your wallet. And token, the NFT that is in that wallet, is going to make it where you will be able to see that content that normally would have to be delivered through JavaScript. But now I'm using what's called React. And Corey, that goes back to you. I need to be able to host this React app on a decentralized server. Right now, I'm using storage, which is great for video because of how it's blazing lightning fast. But I don't want it all on there. I only want to pull the embeds from storage into that. I'm getting now 1 minute beyond time. If anybody wants, they can tag along. I'm going to end the stream now. We're going to pick up where we left off. No, 10 seconds. Anybody else have something else they want to add to the page for Thursday and Friday?
I want to know how to compensate Corey. Like, can we pay Corey? If you did this, could I give you quartal?
Corey has a wallet. Maureen, you're fine.
Yeah.
I gotta run.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. You two need to connect so that Maureen has a more experienced facilitator for her computing and home. Yeah. Next up here, I'm going to end the stream. The next thing is continuing on with Next Gen Merchant.